Okay, everybody, let's take it from the top.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Hi ho everybody and welcome back to D Plus Us Weekly, the show where we talk about shows exclusive to Disney Plus episode by episode, week by week for your enjoyment and ours. I'm one of your hosts, Griffin Tennell, Griffey D-Pad, and with me as always is the wonderful, the amazing, the excellent Mr. McGeorge. How are you doing?
I don't know if I can physically wait 3 weeks for the conclusion of this season.
This show continues to be absolutely insane.
Bonkers,
In the best possible way.
Wall to wall, just the storytelling here and the deep cuts and the callbacks. Boy, oh boy.
And our finally us realizing what story we're fully getting here. This has been one hell of an episode full of realizations for Mitch and I, and probably for a lot of people watching, which means it's going to make for a great episode today. So if you haven't seen episode, 7? Bright Eyes, go watch it. Come right on back, because we're going to spoil the whole goddamn thing. There's no I have no housekeeping to do. I just want to talk about the show. There's housekeeping we should do. I don't want to do it. This show is so damn good, man. There's so much to talk about this week. We got Rogue. We got Rogue. We've got Roberto getting some stuff in there. We got some sinister stuff happening. OZ freaking T. Like
Captain Goddamn America.
Voiced by the fantastic, the wonderful, the amazing Josh Keaton.
Reprising that role from What If, right?
Yeah. But also that man can voice anything, and I will support it. So,
one of my favorite Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm. Some might say the best voice of Spider-Man. It's me. I would say.
It's up there.
I would say
it's up there.
Mind you, voice. I say voice specifically.
Yeah.
It's between him and Yuri for me. Like, it genuinely is those two.
I really liked Drake Bell's Spider-Man. I know that's not a popular.
Sucks.
Yeah. Oh, have you watched Quiet on Set?
I mean, yeah, his father was significantly worse, but.
Well, I mean, just the whole situation he's had to live through is terrible. So go watch that if you haven't already.
Yeah. The situation sucks, but it's one of those things of your situation does not make you exempt from shitty things you've done in your life.
Oh, no, not at all. Just context.
Yeah, context, yeah. Exactly. No, this show's fantastic and amazing and wonderful, but yeah, Cap and this whole thing, like...
Freaking references to the Hulk.
Thunderbolt Ross in this.
Thunderbolt Ross.
Yeah, I guess we can talk about...
Freaking Remy's brother.
Not just his brother, it was like his old flame, like the whole Thieves Guild. Mm-hmm. Or I guess the big three of the Thieves Guild. They didn't bring everybody in for the funeral scene, but having Nightcrawler there as the priest to give a eulogy, everything was so good. One of the most emotional monologues in the show.
Jubilee at the end there too, just like, how could she not be here? How could she not be here? Just like knowing the kind of shit that Rogue is getting into now. Oh boy, we're getting into a real murky part of the X-Men experience, and I'm honestly really not necessarily surprised that we're getting into it, but like they're not pulling any punches. Which is really surprising.
I'm still surprised. I'm still surprised that they are getting this dark with this show, and it's a pleasant surprise. I'm very happy they're doing it. It just was not something I was ever expecting from this show to do, like going so far as to talk about
the X-Men, though, right?
Well, going so far as to talk about the political ramifications of Captain America helping, even though he wants to,
due to government bureaucracy.
Like, that was not what I was expecting from this show, and it is fantastic.
Again, they're planting seeds for Avengers versus X-Men. You and I were both talking off camera that this show is just building towards that inevitability, and I cannot wait to see that realized in animation.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I really thought they used Captain America really well here. Like, I was fully expecting a fight between him and Rogue when he shows up. And like, no, of course he's not going to fight. He is going to be like, no, I'm looking for the same thing you're looking for here. I know you've hit a loss. I am sorry, man. I do not want to fight you. I want to help you. But I can only do so much.
He realizes the losses that they've had to experience on their side, but also understands who he ultimately reports to, and that is one of the catalysts for Civil War in the comics, and I guess to an extent Civil War in the MCU as well. I mean, to an entire extent. It's also just to save his buddy. But that being said, yeah, the idea of this version of Cap, because like you look at the show, X-Men 97. The 97 is there intentionally. This is the 90s version of Cap, who is, by the book, Mr. America. We're going to, can't just show up in Mexico with a red, white, and blue shield, start bashing people's face in. He's not wrong. But he's also kind of a stooge for a bunch of assholes.
Mm-hmm. As we get that learning that
and the president.
Dude, yeah. we are getting Cyclops going bad. We have to be.
He's there. The fact that, oh my God, I don't want to immediately jump to the end of this episode, but that scene in Madripoor where Trask is just like, I got nothing, and Rogue just neither do I.
Yeah.
No one tried to stop her. They could have. And Morph has the best line of is this who we are now?
God, dude, Morph was a standout in this episode.
Quicksilver cameo. I looked away for 2 seconds and Quicksilver's on the screen. Like, what the hell is happening? And then Morph got punched in the face. I'm like, oh, that's why.
Yeah, Morph in general has been a surprising standout character for me this season.
I don't think they're not that surprising, to be honest.
Well, it's more they're not using them that much. But when they're using them
appropriately,
yeah, it's fantastic, and I think they've upped Morph's power abilities to a great degree to make them a lot more fun, and it's great. It's genuinely one of my favorite parts of the show. But yeah, Rogue's whole thing here of slowly falling down this rabbit hole, with Gyrich, Gyrich, when she
Henry Gyrich,
it's no, I'm not gonna. We're not gonna. Yeah, well, with Gyrich specifically, when he's like, no, we're not going to mentally probe you. I am going to actually use my powers, the powers that I refuse to use throughout this entire show.
To damn near kill you.
Mm-hmm.
You see him at the end. He's got the oxygen mask on. She basically put him in a coma.
Yeah. And then Bastard finishes the job. But yeah, then Nightcrawler finding her in the alleyway passed out in Mexico City, and everyone's there for her, was very much this moment of oh, I thought we were going to have some healing, your friends are there for you. No, you're still down this path, dropping Trask off a fucking building. It's no, you do not just heal from this. It is so good. It is so nuanced. And it's a fucking X-Men show.
Again, okay, so I don't want to draw direct comparisons to real life events because obviously this is fiction, this is animation, but there are definitely parallels between the events here and the events of September 11th, 2001.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So you look at the way the world changed after that. There are events that changed the world. There's things like World War II, 9/11, even just looking more recently, the COVID-19 pandemic. Things fundamentally change when events like this occur. And I mean, I'm not gonna say it, but this is a world-changing event to that scale within this universe, right? And these characters are never gonna be the same. You look at the relationship between Scott and Jean, where that's at in this episode of she's there to support him, she knows what he's been through, but also there's this strain between the two. There's just Scott needing to step up and having that conversation with the U.S. president, knowing that full well that the U.S. president, someone's trying to start a war between mutants and humans. Bitch, you ain't starting a war. This war's been going on for years. You just lit the fuse.
Mm-hmm. And also, you're going to lose. It is one of those things of the humans will lose, and that's kind of the reason that they are so afraid on this. And I think it was one of those moments of not having the president appear until this episode, and his first thought is to talk about optics, is such a great use of that relationship. That is what he would do. He is significantly more concerned with getting reelected than helping mutants, than helping anyone for that matter, which is politics even today. In a much more worse
there is some. The problem is you listen to these conversations and there's validity from both sides. That's been Magneto's thing throughout the history of comics. Is Magneto is right. And he continues to be proven right because humanity continues to prove that they're flawed. And those flaws come through in conversations like this of the president understands if he doesn't get reelected, there is a strong chance that an anti-mutant president is elected because of the current world events. And if that were to happen, something like, and we'll get to it, Operation Zero Tolerance
yeah, OCT.
will occur.
Yeah, I think the best example of this is in this episode, and it's with Beast. Beast talking to the reporter, talking about tolerance. Because this reporter, I can't remember her name.
I've got the cast list up. Let me see if I can find it.
Yeah, if you can find it, awesome. But she is very, very pro-mutant. She wants to be on their side. She was the one interviewing the X-Men.
Trish Tilby.
Trish Tilby, thank you.
Yeah.
Like she's on their side, but Beast is laying it all out for like, you can be on our side all you want, but at some point, at the end of the day, you can still just move on.
Oh man, that whole thing of just like, you were on the lawn of my home as my people were being murdered. Like, they're not wrong to be upset about all of this.
No,
they're not wrong to be looking for retribution. And it's going to lead to very interesting storytelling as this series continues.
Mm-hmm. The other thing I want to throw in with all of this is how they're pairing this with the personal stories in all of this. Of like Roberto finally talking to his mom about how he's a mutant. Which is a very
her
sweet
understanding
coming
the
out
optics
scene. Yeah.
like her understanding the optics and what it'll mean to their stock price if it comes out they have a mutant in the family. Like those are very real implications in this universe, and it's awful to think that that's the case, but it very much parallels real life, right? There can be news
that
comes
scene
out.
was absolutely a child coming out as queer.
Yeah,
that was a
1000%.
coming out. That was a coming out scene. Like they weren't even subtle about it. Like that's what that was, and it was very well done. Of like, hey, yes, I accept you. I very much. It's something that I think a lot of kids have to deal with. Of like, I accept you, but I'm not sure others will.
The world won't.
And there is a lot of that internalized homophobia in this sense, but I guess mutant phobia in the show.
Phobia. Mutant prejudice, I guess we'd call it.
A lot of that we still have to deal with. I think this show just in general is doing such a good job of explaining all of that, while also giving us this villain that is so futuristically stupid, like super evil.
I don't know how they're going to
Sentinel?
explain this, but I'm so ready to be proven wrong.
Like
Bastion. We've had hints to this the whole way through, right?
How did we not see this?
We've had Nimrod and Master Mold in the opening crawl. We've had Days of Future Past. We're bringing all of that together from this very obscure storyline from the first season of this show, and it's going to pay off in ridiculous ways.
Yeah, we got our reveal in this episode that the big bad for this is Bastion. Essentially the super evil human Sentinel. Shit, man. Like, that was not what I saw coming for this show. And all of the notes were there. Everything was so clearly leading to this, and it was just not something I saw coming. Like, when they reveal Bastion, was so cool.
Bastion's origin in the comics, like, I don't know how they're going to explain it away here. It's so batshit crazy, where, like, it has to do with Rogue and Bastion fighting, and them colliding with a crystal that was gifted to the X-Men by the daughter of Merlin. Yes, that Merlin.
Yeah.
And that ends up doing some weird future rewrite of Bastion's whole thing being Nimrod plus Master Mold. Like, it's totally fucking bonkers.
Yeah.
And I don't know how they're going to do it here, and I can't wait to see how they do it.
I mean, it's going to be future check. Like, Bastion ultimately is a fusion of Nimrod and Master Mold in a human form.
I mean, we got Cable back and the realization for Jean and Cyclops that he is Nathan Summers.
At the same time,
that's going to play into it.
I'm going to make the bet now they are going to use the Siege Perilous. The Siege Perilous.
If they do, they've got to rework that as being like a Shi'ar thing, right? Like it can't be the comic thing, right?
Well, what's interesting is the X-Men aren't given the Siege Perilous. I guess they are. They are given it from Merlin. They're given it from Merlin's daughter. But they're given the Siege Perilous for defeating the adversary.
Yeah.
It very much makes sense for Rogue or Forge to just have the Siege Perilous now.
It's not a huge stretch to bring those, because we've got these 3 storylines that are ultimately going to get brought together through this 3-part finale, right? We've got the genocide, we've got Storm and Forge overcoming the adversary, and Storm getting her powers back,
and we already
we've got
have
Xavier
coming in. We already have that story getting added in here. That's going to be the
exactly.
Next episode.
We get the tease at the end that Sinister wants to fuck with Professor X in some way. So it's all coming together.
Well, now we are about to get a scene. Like, mark my words. Like, they're going to reveal that Xavier is alive next episode.
Oh, it's going to be right at the beginning. Yeah.
The X-Men are not going to know. Well, the
Yeah.
X-Men are not going to know that Xavier's coming back, of course, and Xavier will come
they
back.
They are going to know that someone has betrayed their trust and that Xavier's alive, and it's us against humanity, obviously, because that's been the theme throughout the whole season.
Yeah, I really think
show.
I'm very interested with these last few episodes, especially with their going tolerance is extinction.
It's us versus them.
Especially right now. Like, it is a story that will always be relevant, but it feels especially relevant given,
The state of the world.
fucking everything.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I something about this is just hitting in a way that is so good, and I cannot wait for more. I love this.
We
show
got 3 more weeks of it.
Even aside, like, we're talking about all these things, but even there's tiny little, like, fun things, like Strong Guy showing up in today's episode. Like, there's still
Telling
these
them they
fun...
got to get ready to fight. Like, got to bulk up, kid. Fight's coming.
Yeah, like, Strong Guy shows up in this. We got a little bit nod to the to Emma Frost and what's the name of the other? Sebastian Shaw.
Shaw, yeah.
Sebastian
Wrong
Stan is Bucky.
Yes, I know.
Sebastian Shaw being dead, maybe.
Well, and then we get the discovery that there was a telepath that survived. It was Emma. She developed her secondary mutation.
I don't think it's
cool.
gonna be Madeline. I think.
Well, no, they showed it, didn't it? Like,
did they? I was admittedly.
They fully showed them rescuing Emma Frost
it was
in
Emma.
Diamond
Gotcha.
form.
I'm
And
curious.
Scott has this one tear, and Jean's there to console him because he wanted it to be Madeline, and it's not.
Yeah, I wonder if this is going to set them up to Madeline in Limbo.
I don't know if it'll be Madeline in Limbo. I'd be curious to see if that's the route they go. I don't want to spoil too much from the comics, but in Operation Zero Tolerance, there's a group of kidnapped mutants. It's not just one. So I'm wondering maybe Magneto wasn't the only survivor.
I would bet
If
so.
Magneto survived, he was holding Leech, so Leech presumably survived.
Yeah.
Maybe there are others.
I would imagine that if Magneto was captured, I would imagine that they would also try to capture the rest of the people that were the heads of state. For Genosha.
So Shaw, Cooper,
yeah. Moira, McTaggart,
Banshee,
yeah.
and presumably Leech because he was holding Leech when he got eviscerated, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, anything could happen. That's the big thing that I'm trying. Like, is my takeaway from this show.
Except Gambit is definitely dead. That's the one thing we can all take away. They had a funeral. There was a body. Until we get to Krakoa weirdness with that, he ain't coming back.
Yeah, if they ever go down the resurrection storyline, Gambit is the first X-Men that's coming back.
I mean, they will. I think they will for that reason specifically.
Yeah, like I don't know if they'll
turn Miss Marvel into a mutant.
Yeah, no, she'll just already be a mutant.
Yeah, that's fair.
No, I don't see Miss Marvel ever showing up in X-Men '97.
Hey, you never know. You never
know. That's fair. Like, I don't see them doing Krakoa anytime soon. And I still stand by that. Like, Krakoa is very much a lot of shit needs to happen to the X-Men and to the world of X-Men '97 for Krakoa to make sense.
That's also very true.
That said, a lot of shit has happened to the X-Men this season. So it's not something that's out of this question. I just don't think it's going to be anytime soon. with that, fuck, man.
Talk to you next week.
Part
Oh,
1,
shit.
Part 2, Part 3. Jesus.
Now, do we wait until the end and do all?
No,
three?
we're doing weekly.
I know the answer is no, but I had to put it out there.
I don't think I can handle not talking about this show for a week.
I need it in my life. I'm excited to finish this journey. I'm not looking forward to it ending.
Yeah. Obviously,
Especially because they're going to tease what's going to happen in season 2, and then we're going to have to wait 2 years for it, and I'm going to be really sad.
obviously, we will be talking about this next week, the week after, and the week after that. We are having a fantastic time with this show. Probably one of our favorite shows that we've done. But go check all that out. Go check out our other show, our weekly, our normal show. Our most recent episode went up recently about Next Goal Wins.
Next goal wins.
We got a bunch of stuff coming soon, so go ahead and keep an eye out for that. But that's all in the future, so until then, have a magical day.
Excelsior.